Hello, my name is Dr Geoff Parkes. I'm the Program Director for the DBA program at Aston Business School. Today talking about the DBA program, and I'm joined today by Julia Hofmann. Julia was a DBA student a few years ago, and I'll let her explain what she did and when she did it. And now a successful graduate of the DBA program. And I'm also joined today by Dr Ian Combe. Ian was is one of our academics in the marketing and strategy department, and was Julia's supervisor in this particular in her particular thesis. So one of the things that we're going to do today is just look at what the experience of the DBA is, both from the student's perspective, but also from the supervisor's perspective, just to see what the supervisor role is and what that relationship is between student and supervisor. So, Julia, I'd like to kick off with your end, if I could. So, what would just maybe tell us a little bit about what your background was and why what made you want to study a DBA? What was the thinking behind, what you wanted? Why did you want to do a professional doctorate?
Yeah. So my background back in the days when I applied to Aston was that I holded up 2 master degrees, one in classical music and one in business. And so I was already quite keen on studying. I had already a lot of years at university in my back. And I also started already my professional career in the financial services. So I worked already at the stock exchange, started my career at UBS in Switzerland. And I knew at this point in time that for me, the perfect combination is having this academia piece and practice both in my hands and playing with that. So for me, it was an aim through the DBA, not just to really have a look at, okay, how far can I push my academic career, but also how can I build a sustainable relationship between the two. So my main aim was to have a look at, okay, is there also a possibility for me to stay in academia also afterwards? And the DBA was a perfect way to actually have a look at this, to not just deepen my academic knowledge and to write my own thesis and to defend it also, but also to go afterwards into the world of academia and see how I can combine that with my daily life. And that, I have to say, was like really a door opener for me because today I can proudly say that I'm adjunct professor at IE Business Schools for the international MBA students next to my work at UBS. So this is really...
Yeah, no, Julian, did the guys when you took the decision to pursue a professional doctorate, did the guys at UPS, were they supportive? Did they understand why you would?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the most important to actually have a look at your bosses there. So when I told my boss at UBS that I want to pursue a DBA, his first question was, which school? And when I told him Aston, he told me and why not the other schools? And so I had always a very good boss in my back who supported me and who also was keen on my research results to provide me opportunities to bring this also into practice and to have there always a look with me. How can he support me to also enrich my job in the areas where I did my research on?
Excellent. And what was so tell us a little bit about, so what was your, what was your thesis about? I mean, I'm conscious there's an element of, I don't know, intellectual curiosity here. I mean, what was your research question and what were you trying to discover?
Yeah, so my business studies already in my bachelor and in my master, I focused on innovation management because I think that's fascinating to me to actually see how you can drive the future, what enables really human beings and companies in the end to be successful out there and to drive the market. And what I wanted to have a closer look at in my thesis was, okay, how can we really ensure as a company to build a framework that really enables then in the end individuals to bring up more ideas and and what can we really facilitate around that. So with that, I had a look at different models and created in the end an own model to actually help companies out there. And the cool thing was that I was able to do that in collaboration with ETH startups, because here in Switzerland, the big university is ETH, and they have a huge startup hub. And so I was really able to work with these founders together to build this model and to really have also a look on the practical side, how this can be implemented or not.
So did they help with the data collection in terms of talking to... Right,
yes.
Okay, yeah, I understand. Okay, Ian, so maybe if I could bring you in now. I mean, so when Julia arrived with her proposal, I mean, what was it about Julia's proposal that kind of thought, yeah, this is something from not just a practical perspective, but also an academic perspective? What did you see that was attractive from an academic's perspective?
Well, I suppose at the start it's quite difficult to judge that. Obviously, myself and Professor Heiner Evanchitsky were involved at the start, and consequently, we had a good sort of feel for the topic area. Heiner had done some work on innovation anyway. He had published in a top American journal on innovation and success factors in innovation. And I was doing some research on SMEs and the way people think about exploiting innovation. So it was like a pretty good fit with what we were doing already as a good starting point. Now, Heiner, very, very much on the quantitative side and doing meta-analysis in particular. So he basically combining previous studies, and doing an overview study of what the success factors in innovation. He's quite well known for that. And I was doing more qualitative work. So we had a bit of a good fit because his experience matched my experience on the topic area, but we had different skills to bear to help Julia with the methods and the research generally. Now, I think that the difficulties, I think that it hasn't got to be, from an external student's perspective. I think over-egging the topic area is somewhat of a minor issue, because Julia, within a short period of time, because she's working on this topic all the time, we're not. She becomes the expert in the topic, and the supervisors are sort of distanced from that topic area. We can try to help with the methods section and to make sure that she ticks all the boxes in terms of what the examiners will be looking for at the end, because at the end of the day, this is quite a big bit of work. Julia spent 4 or 5 years on doing this work, and you don't want any hiccups at the end when you're presenting it. So you've got to really tick the boxes in terms of the method part. I think that's pretty key for anybody thinking about doing a DBA in the future, that they've got to think of somebody who's got a good fit with the methods they're using.
Did you I know we talk in academic terms, particularly in the context of a DBA, of making a contribution. I mean, did you see something, could you identify that Julie was going to do something different here, something that would pass that contribution test? Were you able to?
I think reasonably early on we thought there was a good fit with the topic area. We could see that it's a very interesting topic area. It's a part of the innovation process, so it becomes more focused because of that. It's about the idea generation and creativity. So we hadn't done much work in that particular area, both Heiner and myself, but we could see the potential. It's difficult to tell at an early stage what the contribution is going to be, because of course Julia had to go through the literature review and identify some of these objectives that were going to form the basis of the overall thesis. So I think you got a very general feel, but you can't tell specifically at the very beginning where it's going to go. Yeah.
And Julia, if I can come back to you then. So how did you, what was the sort of student-supervisor relationship from your perspective? I mean, what was the kind of, warts and all, Julia, tell us how it was. I mean,
I have to say, I just enjoyed it. I mean, with Ian and Heiner together, I had such a great support from both of them and such great input. I really just enjoyed the ride, I have to say, because what was so great about it, that they, on the one side, they gave me the space to work on my stuff next to having also a job and giving me there the trust and the freedom that I also have, like, I don't know, 1 or 2 months where they do not hear anything from me, and that they really know then I come up with the next step. I have another result that I will present to them, and then to have right on the spot there again the feedback for me to push my work to the next level. And that really, through the whole 4 years that I've been with Aston, it was really such a nice continuity of how we went through this, and how we established our rhythm. I just enjoyed it. And
so I guess it's just about, it's a journey, isn't it? It's a progress.
Yes.
You're producing work, you're giving it to Heine and Ian,
Yes.
and I guess they're advising and sort of guiding you more than anything. Is that how you describe it?
Absolutely. So it's a little bit like Ian just said, huh? So I can come up with my curiosity, with all my questions. I can build up a network here in Switzerland. I can pull out data. I can bring up all the different elements. But of course, the knowledge to set it then in the frame, to know all the methodological stuff, etc. There to have really the clear guidance from the experts, huh? From the ones that know it really, the nitty-gritty stuff. That was, like, I mean, the best that could happen to me. And I think we had a wonderful and very trusted relationship, the three of us, that I really appreciated and enjoyed.
Interesting. We talk about supervisory teams, and that's how you saw yourselves as a team.
Yeah.
I had the feeling, yes, that whether I came to Ian or Heine, it was always synced. So there was not like, I always knew that I can trust them on all angles, that there is not like that somebody says that, no, now you go left or right and it goes chaos. No, it was always super well aligned, super well synced, and I enjoyed that a lot. For me, it's very important that things go in a structured way through, and that I know really well where I stand and what I have to do in order to succeed, and that was always ensured.
Okay, thank you. I mean, Ian, from your perspective, obviously DBA students, I know you supervise PhD students as well, which is another part of our program. But tell us a little bit about, just from your perspective, supervising someone like Julia. What's the kind of relationship, and what are you looking to do from the student supervisor perspective?
Well, I suppose I'm just trying to help as much as possible. The constant feedback, I think, is always good, because when I do my writing and send it off to journals, and I get these sort of horrible reviewers' reports back saying I should be doing this, should be doing that, and you try to do the same for others, and that's a sort of part of the supervisory process, isn't it? To try to help as much as possible, to try to cover, the student covers the back, so that there's no bits unturned, that they can present their and defend their thesis at the end. It's all to do with that end game, and it's quite a long journey. But that's my major focus, is to try to help as much as possible, to try to tweak everything with constant feedback, so there's no shock at the end. That's the ideal.
Yeah, I mean, do you think, Ian, that some professional doctorate students like Julia do you take is there a particular approach you've got to take, or is it very much the principles of good supervisory contact are the same, would you say?
I think the principles are the same. It's obviously the practice bit comes into more focus with the DBA, and that's one of the reasons why I suppose I was involved in some of this in the first place, because the qualitative interviews, and I do cognitive mapping and that sort of data collection techniques, really emphasize the practice bit. It basically asks people what they're doing in practice. So that's the bit where my fit was with the project in some respects. So the practice bit was really emphasized by the qualitative work. The meta-analysis that Julia did as well is just challenging what she was doing, I tell you. She was basically doing meta-analysis, then qualitative interviews, and supposed to be doing another quantitative analysis at the end.
That's comprehensive, isn't it?
It's very comprehensive, really, basically, yeah.
No, I was going to say, obviously, from our perspective as academics, I mean, having research that's very close to practice, is quite attractive for us, isn't it? Because often that's quite a difficult thing for us to do.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, my take was the fact that I was doing, looking at CEOs of SMEs, and some of the people that Julie was interviewing with someone similar. So we had a feel for what they were doing, and the idea generation bit was an extra very detailed focus of the sort of general thing that I was doing, really. So it was an interesting fit to what we were looking at.
Okay, I mean, Julie, just from your perspective, I'd be interested to ask, I mean, so how did your, I mean, because it is a long time, isn't it? It's not like an MBA, which is a year long. This is a 4-year-long program. I mean, so what did your thesis look like at the end relative to what you thought it was going to look like at the beginning? I mean, how did it kind of transform itself?
It transformed a lot. So I had already a clear idea what I want to do in the beginning. It was already clear for me that there will be kind of probably 2, max 3 different parts of it. But how really the end part comes out, like for example, the cognitive mapping was not on the radar as such and so concrete in the beginning. So there were also so many other ideas flying around, but you have to go down the route in order to find out where you end up. I mean, this is also part of the game. Huh? You have to put yourself into it and have to try it. And by that, you will find also different pathways where you have to decide then whether you go left or right. And and this is also the beauty of it. Huh?
That's right. I mean, it is a process of discovery,
yes.
isn't it? I mean, I think that is one of the things that it's
absolutely.
about.
Yeah, well, one of the things that occurred during the process is that Julia did some in-depth interviews, and it was going to be a quantitative study at the end, but some of the issues that we were throwing up, we didn't have any scales for, so they were quite new issues coming up. And that's one of the reasons why we went down another qualitative phase to do that, because we would have struggled to do the quantitative study that was originally sort of earmarked for the end, the third study. So it basically evolved as it was going on.
Yeah, and also mainly because due to the fact, I mean, in the first place, we knew, okay, I will do the meta. And then you have a certain expectation of results, what comes out. So you think, okay, if I have already all the data available that is around this topic, and they have all this knowledge already gathered, it's clear it has to be like X, Y, Z. And then you do the meta, and then you end up completely in another place, and you realize, like, not at all the case, huh? So, and that like sets you also back. It was often for me, I did all the studies, the research, and I was like super into it, like so much fun, and I had like a clear goal, and then you end up there, and it's like, what is now happening in front of me? Huh? It doesn't fit to it as you imagined it, and you have to put the puzzle pieces in a different manner together in order to get the full picture. Huh? And this leads to this discovery that you mentioned, Geoff. It's really this fun part about, I don't know, puzzling for academia adults.
No, and that, that's what,
and guys like fun.
My colleagues like Ian, I mean, that's what we do for a living, Ian, isn't it? That's the thing. I mean, sometimes for a DBA student, Julia, it's one project, isn't it? But I mean, I think that process of discovery is one which is what doctoral research really is about. Finding things new is the requirement. That's what you have to do to pass the test, And so, that's a really good way you've articulated it. That is really good, I think.
Can be very stressful. For students, of course.
In the moment where it doesn't fit.
And I suppose, it's a good question. It is. I mean, and how did you, in terms of, balancing that work-life balance, Julia, with your professional life and obviously your studies at the same time. What was that? How did you do that? What was your observations in, reflecting on it now? What was your observations on it?
I have to say, and maybe this we haven't touched base on so far in this talk, but compared to my other colleagues in the class of DBA students, I was quite young. I was not the typical, let's say, the other students were like more 50 years plus in a already C-suite position. And I was quite young. I was like, when I entered, I think 29 years old. Yes, I had already a well-established career in the financial sector, but I was not C-suite at all. So, and what helped me with that was that at the same time, my husband, he did his doctoral studies at ETH full-time. And so I had there also, here based in Switzerland, a full class of full-time PhD students that I was always invited to join. So they were studying something completely different on architecture and civil engineering. So yeah, nothing to do with business. But the lovely thing was that I always tried, like next to my work, which was 100%, all the 4 years along, that whenever I had the possibilities to study before work or after work or at the weekend, I always had a group of people through my husband with whom I was able to sit together in the library. And I was never alone. So it was really cool to be in this environment. And so of course you need a lot of discipline, but if you have the right group of people that support you, it also makes it a lot of fun. And so I was maybe also a little bit in a different setup, work-life balance, technically.
Yeah. It is a mixed demographic for sure, Julia. I think the DBA program, we do get quite a wide variety of students on the program. But you're right. I think being able to plan the work and be organized, isn't it? I guess that's one of the things that you've got to try and do is you can't waste any time at all, can you?
No.
Can't take holidays.
No, so I had holidays, but I had always my laptop with me or my iPad or whatever. I always had something to type on, like even if it was just a piece of paper. And I was really always having my thesis in mind and what I was currently researching on. And I had the full support. And maybe what is also there important, I mean, I knew about the pain that I would go through. So, even if I say all the time it's a lot of fun and I enjoyed it, it is also pain. And I think what also another component that was really important for me to have that is I come from a very academic-driven family. So they all went through a PhD. They know what the pain means. So whenever I was coming home and saying, oh, this is not working, they were like, Julia, let's have a look from a different angle. So they were always cheering me up and like, hey, you just have to turn around the object and look from a different angle on it and you will find it. And, you know, I was like, I love these discussions also at the dinner table. And this was great for me. And
okay, so I mean, so on the subject of no pain, no gain, Julia, then. So what have you done since you graduated? I mean, you've talked a little bit. I know you mentioned a little bit earlier about you've pursued a little bit of an academic career now, but also I'd be interested to know also how you utilize your DBA in your both in your professional life and also in your academic academic life as well. So give us an idea of how you've used these new skills you've got.
So at UBS, I always had the chance, also specifically through my DBA, to promote innovation. So wherever you see somebody at UBS, they always know, innovation, Julia, let's connect her to it, And so in the beginning, I was, for example, able to build up a platform for all the colleagues to gather innovative ideas and to get them through kind of an innovation funnel to get first pilots out and running. And these could have been really kind of different nature, not just financial product, but also just process alignments, simple things that make our lives easier on our everyday working life, stuff like that. And it helped me to move through the time then over to different programs. So first I built up this platform. Then suddenly I was part of the digital factory where they really asked me, okay, can you have a look at more digital product development for innovative areas? Huh? And funnily, that led to the step that I also understand and practice. Okay, I did so much research on innovation and how to drive that one. But there's also an important step I have to take into account, and this is how people work together. That we have business and IT colleagues often, and they speak in different languages. So I came also to the part where I learned a lot about agile ways of working that I never thought about before. Huh? And suddenly I got an agile expert driving all the transformation programs around in our organization. And in the end, we transformed through the official transformation where I was in the Center of Excellence there, over 20,000 people over to new model, how we interact with each other and drive really innovation in the end. Huh? So it's great what it brought to me in terms of a journey. And next to that, it also gave me the chance to also stay connected to the academia world and be an adjunct professor for agile ways of working in the end. And that is great for me because it really gives me also this air to breathe, to be in this academia environment with students, to be connected. Yes.
Fantastic. Ian, it sounds as if Julia's done a lot of work with her DBA.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. I mean, it was very comprehensive. Very challenging ideas at the outset. Let's face it. I mean, to do 3 studies rather than one extended one is pretty challenging, and I don't normally recommend anybody does something as crazy as that, but it's because it's usual to stick to one, to really focus on quantitative research or qualitative research and try to do a meta-analysis and this and that and the other. It's quite challenging, but she's managed to do it.
Okay, well, look, thank you both for sharing your experiences this afternoon. It's incredibly valuable. Julia, thank you very much for your time. Okay, I know you're busy, and but it's been really, really fantastic to listen to your story. And Ian, from your end, thank you for your your time as well. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks a lot.